Alright everyone, it's been a little while since I've done any type of YouTube content, so just wanted to get some more stuff out for you guys. Figured I would do a little bit of commentary. Got some downtime for once since I'm home. So anyways, here's the start of the main race for Stix and Stones. Right off the bat, drone off to the side, boom! Powders Keith Curtis right in the face. Ripping up the start here. It's one of the scariest, coolest starts I've probably ever done. Really not stoked on it. Check out that carbureted power bike, blowing right past that TPI, per usual, at least in the main horsepower type stuff like this. So the really sketchy thing about this start was there's a lot of rocks. I was wheeling through some loops here, and I mean, you're just flat out. Like, I'd never let off the gas till right about here. Swapped pretty bad, thought I was gonna die, and then just started getting pelted with rocks. So pretty good start. Wasn't the best jump, but really powered up good through that hill, and then goes all over the top and right back down some flowy single track here for a bit. So I think we got Haker in the lead here, and it looks like, I believe Tio was leading part of the early stages of the race. So Tio was second, I'm running third, and this is actually pretty fun trail. Just it's pretty narrow and tight, so there's no passes to be made really in this part of the course after that long start stretch. I apologize in advance for the water setup. It's going to be dangling in front of the camera there for a bit. It's kind of hard to guess with the chest cam. I mean, it definitely works sometimes it doesn't. Right now maybe I'm angled just down a little bit too far, can't quite look far enough ahead. But anyways, as you can tell, it's kind of very downhill mountain bike-ish trail through here, just weaving in and out of the trees and nothing crazy. So I think personally I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I'm the one having to watch this and talk through it, and this just doesn't excite me. This doesn't get me going. I need some more tech. So speeds picked up. We hopped on a road for a little bit, and basically we're running down one of the ski runs right now. Pretty fast through here, a little choppy just from the other riders riding the prologue, but you know, the dust and higher speeds kind of spread out a little bit, just so a little bit safer. And then across the road here, dip into some more kind of that single track type stuff, really tight. You know, you can go pretty fast through here, but nothing crazy. And then this is basically the same canyon where later on there was a huge, massive bottleneck in the creek. And that was definitely a really enjoyable part of the race, probably my favorite part of the race, but it was almost a little bit too early because no one had the ability to spread out. It was pretty mellow and easy for everyone, just some, you know, fun flowy trail through all this section, and then boom, they just dropped us off in pretty nasty creek. So it's, you know, maybe almost too early in the race for that, something like that. But, you know, it is what it is, and at least we had some pretty fun, enjoyable trails up to that point. Yeah, I just remember coming through this part here, it opened up for a bit, and then we get into this old mining road. I'm pretty sure is just completely overgrown now, so you can see how tight this is, and we're going pretty fast. So here it's pretty overgrown. I think I'm just like sitting down and trying to keep my elbows tucked in and and weave in and out of the trees without crushing a finger. A couple weeks before this in Michigan, I smacked my pinky on my knuckle, and it hasn't healed literally all summer, and this was one of the races where I probably smacked it multiple times, and every race was pretty fun, taking your glove off with a huge blood stain all over it. So pretty tight through here, but definitely a fun little section of trail. And all right, I'm gonna skip ahead to a little bit more stuff. It opens up and there's nothing super special here for a bit. So this is the first step of the race where there's some stuff actually happened there. We all kind of made a little mistake with the course navigation, just the ribbons up there and some arrows, and Colton went wide, so Tio took advantage of that, and Tristan as well. He was right behind me, so still in third at this point, but we had a little lead swap, and there was we kind of rode this a little bit more hunch-touch stuff here for a bit, dropped left, and eventually we did a pretty nice virgin side hill. All right, here we're rolling into some of that new stuff. Theodore Kabachev, Cabbage Patch Kids. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. I think Cabbage Patch is a good nickname for Tio. He's really fast in these little bit faster sections, so he honestly kind of checked out really early in the race, and I thought for sure he was going to be gone, but luckily it got quite a bit technical here after this section, and we were able to get away from him, but he's definitely a threat depending on the race. And after racing with him in Romaniacs, I couldn't believe the speed he carried through some of these sections. He just has no fear at all. So this was pretty fun, I thought. Nothing crazy, just some good bushwhacking, boondocking to get through this stuff here. And everyone was still really up front and pushing pretty hard at this point and close together. It was hard to kind of branch away. And I think maybe for the amateurs this was pretty technical, but I think there's probably a pretty good line in. So, we have the race there again next year. This will be a pretty fast, flowy trail, I'd imagine. All right, right here we're dropping in the first dead man check. There's a lot of drama at the race, and you'll see here very quickly why. I was an idiot. I didn't know what we were doing. I thought it was like,
how did they go on?
I didn't know what they were, but obviously the dead man check broke here. They ended up all over the ground, and they ended up having to throw this first check out because a lot of people missed it.
How the fuck did these things go on?
It's kind of obvious why. And, people were putting them in their boots, putting them in their pants. I took my camel back off, so like I said, I was an idiot and lost a bunch of positions here. So you saw how tight everyone was right there at the dead man check together. So, we wanted a little bit more of some of this virgin hillside type stuff. And it's kind of fun following these guys through here, to be honest. Just, it's a little stressful, the technical creed's coming up and you don't want to be kind of stuck in the bottleneck with the back of the guys. You want to try and be near the front. Come up right here, and it looks like Tristan made some sort of mistake here. So honestly, it's kind of nice in all these races. Something like this happens, and you take a little second, adjust your goggles, sip of water. I cleaned my GoPro for you guys there. It looked like for a second. So then we kind of get back on our way. The grass, luckily, the traction was really good here. Could have been really bad potentially if it had been raining or a little more wet. Honestly, it would have been nicer. Kept the dust down in some of the faster sections, but. Obviously here it's pretty cool looking trail. It's just nothing, for the top guys to really struggle that much on. Remember, kind of a little tricky spot through here. It was pretty fresh and a little steep, so it'd be pretty easy to slide off your line here. So you can see he got hung up there for a second, pushing his bike through, and it's so tight through here. I mean, look at all the trees. There's not really anywhere else for us to go, so we're all taking our time. I'm probably looking back behind me, seeing what Ryder LeBlanc's doing, so I'm pretty sure he's behind me at this point as well. So Keith sees I'm there. He's trying to get out of my way, but really nowhere for either of us to go at this point. Luckily, Keith's got long legs too, like me. He's just paddling his way through that stuff to get going again. Would you look at that? Sometimes you gotta appreciate a nice team gesture move there. Thanks, Keith, if you watch this. Appreciated that. Didn't work. Well, I guess it did work a little bit, but it's always pretty nice if a teammate helps you up like that from time to time, or sometimes we'll be pressuring a guy really hard, not necessarily a space spot like this, but the pressure the guys doing a mistake or just a pace they don't want to hold, and they'll get out of your way as well. So right now I'm trying to make a push to catch back up to those other guys after Keith made that little mistake trying to get up that hillside. So caught back up to Tristan here. This was a really pretty short and super steep drop in down this hill here. Just a little bit of controlled chaos and sliding, and then dip under a tree here. You can't really tell, but it was tight for the taller guys for sure. You can see just how dusty it is in here. It's pretty silty. I mean, this is more or less untouched by any riders, and I think everyone was kind of surprised for the conditions in June to still have not that much moisture on these trails here. This was kind of sketchy, a lot of sticks, random rocks everywhere, and see one rolling right in front of my front tire there. So it's hard to obviously tell on camera how steep some of this stuff is. This wasn't obviously terrible because we're riding it, but enough to where a rock can bobble your front tire and down on the ground you go. Alright, dropping into the first section of the creek here. This was, I think I got hung up here. I remember I was trying to get around these guys because Hager got messed up. They're laying on top of each other. I didn't mess up that bad. I just was trying to base off what they were doing. There Mario got past me there. That's what happened. So, I took a different line, trying to get by, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well for you. So here I am now, just trying to get some form of momentum going, but it's not going very good for me. So just really short section of the creek there, basically cross it, go up a hair, and then back up onto some trails before the real section of the creek begins. Alright, this is where the real fun begins. At this point, Tio is still in the lead. No one even saw him for a while. I feel like we were kind of bobbling. He was just riding flawlessly. Mario there, I think in second, Tristan, and then I just got into fourth. So Hager got messed up there for a second, went wide, and now this was a really tight section too. Here is kind of, I went down here after the race just to get a look at it. Man, it was so torn apart. Didn't even look the same as when we came through. So it was just a tight right turn, and you see that log across the trail. It made it tricky. You couldn't get any momentum. You basically had to squat under it just like that. Not very fun of an obstacle, but everyone's just charging their way through here. Surprisingly, quite a bit of traction on these rocks. I think just the water flowing down them was cleaning them off, and it wasn't too bad. I think the hardest part was actually all the sticks crossing the trail. They catch you off guard. So not sure why we're just chilling here right now. I'm guessing Tio must be stuck. So take a break for a sec. Might as well flip my goggles back, because I don't know, I hate getting hot in the face and sweaty. It's just a pain. So obviously this is all pretty untouched here. It looks like, Tio's definitely struggling. Like I said, he's really fast in some of the stuff, and then it gets a little bit more tech. He gets hung up just a little bit. So I tried to put a move on the inside there. It didn't quite work. So Mario's leading now, and we're all just kind of freight training through this stuff all together. bike, kind of just went up the creek and avoided going in and out. And hopped in right behind Mario right here, and then Tristan kind of just, I don't know, I guess he was there a little bit in front of me, so barged his way through, but I got in front of Tio at least, which is good. Side by side. Angled log here, Tristan slid out, and I think I kind of definitely screwed him up here. Yeah, look at that. Just kind of wedged right in there with him. I guess that was a little bit of payback for him pushing in front of me there right before that. So now a little bit more clear breathing room and just try and catch back up tomorrow. So you can kind of hear the motor. I'm really kind of clutching it and kind of bogging my way through it, and that's because I'm trying to stay in second gear as much as I can through this creek. Obviously it's super tight and technical, but you know, staying in second gear helps keep the bike from spinning as much and just get that torque going. So caught back up to Mario here, and like I said, look at all the sticks crossing the trail. That was kind of almost the most difficult part of the whole race, was just battling through, trying to get over these slippery sticks. This was a deceivingly tough trail out of here. I think if it was wet, man, it would have been a whole different story. And, you know, for the first couple guys through, the roots weren't really that exposed yet. Traction was still good. And just a couple little switchbacks, really tight through the trees. But after all the pros came through and the amateurs were getting hung up on there, it was insane down there. I mean, there was roots exposed everywhere. All the water from the creek got drug up onto the dirt and roots, and it made it super tough for everyone to get through there. So we had a short break of creeks for about 30 seconds and then went right back into it again. This was pretty tricky here. There was a little rock and then an angled log to get up over. I think it looks like I got over it, yeah. And then tricky here, not really any run. A short little hill, so you can see Mario getting hung up there a little bit, and you know, it'd be good to try and do it all in one, but definitely not as easy as it looks. It looks pretty simple watching on camera right now as I'm redoing this, but I definitely remember during the race that it was not super simple through that section. And then right up there where Mario is, a couple angled logs, different. One angle this way, that way, and basically you put yourself in this pocket and had to get up over another pretty big log again. So you can see Mario struggling here pretty good. I took a little bit different line and spent the time to get set up to get a little bit more run at that log. So I think I might have actually passed him here. So see how he didn't really have any run at, now he's stuck there right against it. I went back in that pocket and was able to shoot up and get around him there. And I'm definitely still struggling to get the rear tire up high enough. You know, being the first couple guys through this stuff, it's definitely an advantage, but sometimes as well there's no line, so the rear tire will slide out and not stay where you want it to. So taking a breath here, regroup, try and slingshot up around this other side here. Nice little line to the left here, avoid the creek, some of the bushes, little face flappers, and then there was a really technical line here, really screwed a lot of people up. Being the first guy here, I think definitely helped me a lot. There's an elevated log, angled at the top, and I mean, people were basically almost just dragging the bike over that thing. So I was lucky to kind of foot plant and get over it in just one swift motion. It definitely felt like this creek was probably my biggest advantage in the whole race. I started 5th as we came into it, and by the end of this whole section of the course, I was able to get in the lead and even put a little bit of a gap on Mario. So when we get put in these situations, I feel like my strength and size definitely comes into play, along with the technical trials background. Sometimes some of the other stuff, I think I struggle personally a little bit more than some of the other guys, and then we get in something like this, and I just use my my size, strength, and skills, and I don't know, a little bit of everything to my advantage. Nothing crazy through here. I'm sure, like I said, if it was wet, this section would be pretty hard as well. I think they had this section in years past. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here to some more battles, because I'm kind of just putting around here for a while, and then we get into a rock garden where I pretty much ruined myself, I think, for the rest of the race, because I was pushing way too much when I shouldn't have. Here's the section that pretty much ruined me. I was leading at this point, kind of following along the ribbon. In the background, you can hear Mario like pinning it, trying to stay high. So this was just bad line choice on my part. I even had to like get out of the ribbon, turn around, and go back the other way. It looked so flat on camera, but every time I would push here, the rocks were small enough that it would just work against me, and I'd slide down the hill. So Mario and I had a nice gap here on everyone, and then Tristan caught up to us and actually passed both of us on this stupid section. It was literally only like 50 feet up the hill we had to go with the ribbon markings, but I just couldn't make it. So, obviously, this was one of those scenarios we talked about, earlier, where if you're the first guy through, it definitely helps. This section here, Tristan came in behind us, and he could obviously see that we were struggling a bunch, so he basically cut up early and cut off a bunch of the climb that I was stuck pushing on. So it saved a bunch of energy and passed both of us all in one swift move. So by the time I even kind of got up there, like the other riders were about where I was. So you see how I just couldn't get anywhere. I actually went out of the ribbon, turned around, and I traversed back to try and get over to where they were. So, not intentionally trying to cut the cords or anything, just trying to find a way to get up this thing. So, I wouldn't say I cut the course there, but I did definitely go out of the ribbons and just off the bike pushing. This is very fun to watch right now for me. All the shaly rocks just like falling down the hill as we're giving it gas or pushing, and your feet are sliding out. It was such a pain to push up through this little section here. This is stupid.
Yeah. And now with the line. So you could hear me just panting after we've just been dog paddling, and the bike rev up. You heard a little bit ago, I think it was some of the other riders trying to get up to where we were. So, Mario and I was discussing how dumb this section is. It's pretty funny. At least there's a nice view off to the right, when I'm chilling here, waiting my turn. Pushing. Got to take advantage of that here and there at least. taking a quick breather there for a second, waiting my turn for Mario to get out of the way, thinking I can make it all in one shot, but nope. Back to pushing 2, and you can tell the tape has been broken now in 2 different spots through that section from us, so, you know, it's just, this part sucked. That's all I gotta say. So this was kind of a tricky right off-camber turn. Honestly, it doesn't look steep here, but man, this shale is steeper than it looks. And I think here I actually just end up getting off my bike and I'm just running next to it, going down the hill because I didn't want to crash and fall on all these boulders. All right, I cut some of that out. It was just the sound of rocks tumbling and looking at my seat. So we drop into kind of a little drainage draw here, riding through the ribbons, and it's just a, I guess a mini loose rocky version of Carl's Dinner, however you say it, through this section. Just trying to keep forward momentum, looking ahead the best you can, but not always that easy to do in these scenarios. Pretty crazy to see, honestly, just how much shaly rock there is on some of these mountainsides at this place, and then other spots just has nothing. I don't know how that happened. I guess nature has a way of doing crazy stuff, but you know, at one point this place was a big mine, and apparently the whole mountain was like bald from what people were saying, so they came in and tried to save the mountain and plant all the trees again. So they the good thing is nature always healed itself one way or another. Alright, I'm just going to skip ahead for a bit now and go to another creek section because I caught back up to Tristan and Mario and we had a sweet battle through that creek, so that was pretty cool. Exciting. So I actually lost touch with these guys for a while, and then made a strong push, caught back up to them right before the beginning of this creek. I saw their dust, so you know, it kind of gets you motivated, and made a push to catch back up, and we had a pretty fun battle through this creek, to be honest. Mario got hung up just for a little second there, so I just kept my momentum and weaseled my way around him there on the outside or inside, however you look at it, and set my sights on Tristan. Pretty tight through here. Like I said before, all the logs are almost the worst part of these. The rocks really aren't terrible in these creeks, which is pretty fortunate, I'd say. Yeah, really cool, fun terrain. Like, this is what I would consider like the perfect adventuring type terrain. You know, it's not, I guess some people beg to differ, but you know, it's not extremely hard, but it's something where you can kind of keep riding and keep your momentum through. And I don't know, for sure the most enjoyable parts of this race for me were through these multiple creek sections. first and made a little mistake there. Not much of a mistake, to be honest. And it just kind of got on the gas to get around in there through the bushes a little bit, and just kept pushing forward. But I think I made some of my own mistakes up here as well, and Mario was able to get around me, and it was definitely this was the best part of the race for me, I think, was just going back and forth with these guys up to this section of the course. I think my rear end just slid out there for a second on something, and a little tip over, nothing crazy, but pretty cool section of the race. And I don't know where this was, but somehow there were spectators here, and it was definitely cool for them to see this section of the course. So just like I got by Mario, I get hung up for 1 second, he's right there behind me and just can carry that momentum, see my mistake, and get right by me. I saw Mario get hung up for a second and another line to the left, and thought maybe I could take advantage of it. Spectators always stand in the good lines anyways, you know, right? So at least I asked them to get in my way. Out of that creek, but somewhere up here there's a pretty sweet log hop. I hear Mario rev his bike up, so I just knew something was there and pinned it and went for it, and it worked out pretty well. Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest lines of the race. I feel like pretty big elevated log, and you can hear Mario's bike rev up, and I'm like, ooh, something good must be around the corner. So luckily I was there, otherwise I probably would have been hung up a little bit more than he was. Alright, so we basically just crossed the, we just had the final checkpoint. There was one more dead man check, but coming into the enduro cross section of the course here, second place, I think we all knew it was getting near the end of the race, so the top 3 guys really stepped it up a bunch. I never made this Matrix all friggin' weekend. Look at that. Oh my god, it's embarrassing. It was so chewed out, and nope, still didn't make it. Maybe next year I'll get through that thing. So yeah, this will pretty much be more or less the end of the video here. I either battery died or ran out of memory, not sure. There was a nice triple here I at least hit. Some redemption for that terrible Matrix run. A little bit of water through the rocks. Rip up the hill. I think my mechanic was up here yelling at me to keep going, so he was somewhere there. Anyways, ride along this for a while, a couple more big shaly hills, and I screwed myself really bad on one of them and got third. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. I needed to get this out to make room for TKO, so that'll probably be up next. Thanks, guys.